Nightwing issue 10, which is written by Tim Seeley and art by Marcus Toe. This was probably my most anticipated book of the week, because this was Nightwing, start of a new arc, but it's also Nightwing back to Bloodhaven.
Pete, did it get your blood up?
Don't answer it. It's a trap.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not doing it. I'm not answering it. I thought this was very good. This was Nightwing reintegrating himself back into the city. Well, I'll say back. It's the first time for him, from his perspective, and he's got a new supporting cast, which I like. I want a supporting cast in these books, because if I have one complaint about the first arc or so of Nightwing, is he is kind of. I mean, obviously he's with Raptor, and we have Batgirl in it, but other than that, he's kind of on his own. Whereas this book, it looks like it's finally going to start building up his own supporting cast. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, we have Miss Sang, who is like the head of this like teenage help group that Nightwing's going to volunteer at by day, and obviously by night he's still being Nightwing. We get a little bit of the city stuff where they're trying to make it a very touristy, casino-filled attraction. So they want to keep like the beach and the boardwalks all safe, and that's one of the big plots for like the mayor's trying to like keep his image of his city going well. So he's got the that's one of the subplots there is, or I say subplot, but it comes back to the head of marketing or whatever you call her, tourism and stuff, like sees that they've got a superhero now, and that's like one of the big points she has later on in the episode. And there's conspiracies, of course, because Bloodhaven is corrupt as ever. And despite the fact that they're trying to make it into a touristy attraction, the idea of the history of it still being, corrupt and crime ridden is still there. Yeah, it's just they're trying to like, mask it with stuff.
It's kind of like Gotham with a new layer of paint. Is kind of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't help but thinking it's like Vegas in the 90s, where it's just like, hey, this place is meant for adults, bring your kids. And that lasted so long, and then now it's back to let's not bring the family. So
except Las Vegas doesn't have any docks, whereas Bloodhaven is full of docks. There's always docks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever read the Dixon run, but it felt like every second issue there was a scene at the docks.
There's always a different one.
There's always a different one, yeah. So many docks. Lots of docks. But no, I thought this did a lot for his character. We got that fantastic sort of... I don't know if you'd call it a montage in a comic book, but I'm going to call it a montage of him trying to like pass the time at night by watching TV and playing video games, and just how bored he seems.
And then it only
In
lasts
10
9 minutes. Yeah.
yeah.
That cracked me up, because it just tells you the time at the start, and then you see him reading a book, watching TV, reading a comic, falling asleep on the phone.
Robin Hood Rebirth.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Robin Hood Rebirth. I did notice that. That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and then it's just him bored as everything 9 minutes later.
And as soon as he hears sirens, he's like, "Oh well, I better get my Nightwing outfit on. It's time to go to work."
Yeah, it's like, well, it's just down the street. I can't ignore it. I mean, that would be bad superheroing.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that's why I say
Right.
I love the first page. It's like there's like a setup to it with Damien practicing his Teen Titans call.
Yeah.
To me, my Titans, and Batgirl sneaking up behind him and making fun of him for it. Oh, so good.
And him just going, "I applaud your sneakiness, but I knew you were there."
Yeah. Such a jerk. I love him.
Yeah.
But I also like when Nightwing gets all ready and he's like, the city is sleek and sexy like Nightwing. Like there's a trademark sense of humor still there, which is great.
Yeah. No, it's really good. And of course, he runs into Gorilla Grimm, who's a resident of Gorilla City. Speaking of D-listers that no one remembers this week. But Gorilla
it's
Grimm.
Nightwing fighting a giant gorilla. This is like written for me.
Oh yeah, I can't complain. No, I mean I'm not.
Like,
it's good. It's great.
This is where taking a random villain from whenever is a good thing.
Oh yeah, well, because they don't.
Not like Cold Snap.
Because this is fine, because they don't build it up. The page before Cold Snap showed up, it was, a team of our greatest villains are all going to show up and try and kill us.
Yeah.
That's what it's right. Here's a character you might not know, but we'll make a story out of him. We'll do something with this.
But I like that Gorilla Grimm's is trying to make a life for himself.
Yeah.
In the blood.
He's like, I'm being set up. He's like, ask Miss Sang, which obviously... Because there's a tease earlier on with Sang and James, who's like a friend, and they talk about putting on masks later or whatever. So obviously there's like a a thing here.
Costumes ready.
And
Yeah.
when Nightwing goes to confront her at the end after hearing this, and the police like carting Grim away, he sees her in costume
As the Defacer.
as the Defacer. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these like names for these heroes and villains are going to start getting really silly soon. They're running out of words.
Yeah.
Sorry, what do you mean they're going to start getting silly?
Yeah.
Did you not just hear Cold Snap?
And Gorilla Grim.
Hey, Gorilla Grim's fine. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Good bit of alliteration there, quite frankly.
Yeah. But my only issue with this was the coloring. I thought the coloring was a little too light.
What did we just say about calling it problems issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't do
My
it.
only problem with it was that it just felt like I got it in the office that it was like bright fluorescent light and
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just a little too pastel for my liking.
What's actually funny is, Matt, is I kind of agree with you, but I'm kind of the opposite, where I thought it was fine once we got to nighttime. It was in the office and stuff where I was like, oh man, this is like, I'm almost been blinded here by the whites and the light colours. The actual art's good though. It's just it's just very very pale.
Kind of torn in the middle on the colouring because I like it bright and vibrant. It feels fun, but they're trying to sell Bloodhaven as this grim and awful place, and I don't really feel that in the colours.
Well, but I can see that's why they chose to make it lighter because you don't want it to be Gotham's little brother.
Yeah, well, I also get it because there's a lot of neon signs and stuff, and they're trying to sell that it's almost been covered by the neon. They're trying to like hide the grimness, and that kind of worked for me with the colouring later on at the night time. But man, those first 6 pages in that office, Jesus man, I was like man, I'm getting blinded here. Like, can I turn down the brightness? Like, I almost went to turn the brightness of my iPad down just to,
Me too.
The worst part is when he has that like inner monologue part. Whereas, thinking about what he wants to say.
Which I love
it's
that
just
part.
pure white almost.
Oh yeah, I love that page. Yeah. She looks cycling through all these expressions as he's thinking about all these.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, really good.
But his face is too bright. I don't mind all the backgrounds being everything's like really whited out, and I get it for all the backgrounds because it's like he's lost in his own head. But his face feels like really bright. It's not even skin colored anymore. It's actually white.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is actually? See, often we compare like comic panels to like movie like language. We talk about framing. We talk about secret, and all that stuff, and the way it cuts and whatever. I'm going to use a camera reference to talk about what the problem with this. It looks overexposed.
Yeah.
Anyone who's ever used a camera to any extent and knows what exposure is, they'll know what I'm talking about. It feels overexposed, like his face is blooming out. So yeah,
that's exactly what the problem is.
So that small nitpick aside, well, it's kind of small, but small enough that it doesn't bother me. Yeah, that was a good issue. And I'm looking forward to building up more of his supporting cast and learning more about the Defacer and what happened to Gorilla Grim and the corruption and the mayor and get into it.
Well, because there's that whole thing too about the guy Paul Paterno that got murdered by something. That sounded pretty gnarly. So there's also that running around. If it's not Gorilla Grim.
Yeah, I presume that's what they were arresting him for, but I believe him that he's innocent. I believe there's...
I just assumed it was meant to be that James guy.
It may be.
Maybe.
Because he's the only other person who's been set up that it doesn't seem like... Because it doesn't seem like it'll be Defacer because she was still just around the office.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Defacer are meant to be bad people, though. I feel like they're meant to be... They're trying to be more
vigilante.
vigilante.
The way that he said it was like, get the costumes.
Yeah.
Not... so who knows?
Maybe something went wrong. It was an accident. I don't know.
I think it's them trying to be... Because they're trying to help the teens and stuff, they're taking it one step further and trying to clean up the streets, but they're maybe in over the head. Whoever killed the guy, though, I feel like that's maybe just someone we've not seen but in this arc yet, because it's not a new character. I feel like it'll turn out to be ex-villain that we know, so we don't have to be introduced to them here. Yeah,
I see. I'm not entirely sure of that, because I know, obviously, when this all started, Seeley was talking about how he wanted to give Dick a whole new rogues gallery, and I don't think I think he said he wouldn't be using any pre-existing villains for quite a while. Which is obviously why we got Raptor to add to that and start with.
Sure, okay, you may be right, but I mean, it could end up being James, and he's went one step too far. Like, maybe Defacer doesn't know about it, and he's going like above and beyond and doing extra stuff. He's crossing a line behind her back, kind of thing.
Yeah, because we don't know anything about this person who's dead. We don't know that
Yeah,
they were a good
Well,
person. They
he
could have been a bad guy.
Well, yeah, he was. He was
He was a bad guy, yeah, for
running
sure.
stuff out of
Yeah.
the shop.
Yeah, but we don't
So-
know how bad.